with Matt Groves. We're going to work on some more entity framework today, and we're not necessarily using entity framework a lot, although there will be some of that for sure. But we are actually building an entity framework provider for Couchbase. So we're going really, really deep here. This is beyond your typical level of entity framework live coding you might see out there. So I will be learning a lot of this along with you, and I've never created an entity framework provider before. So this is all brand new territory. Not to mention we're talking Entity Framework 3, Entity Framework Core 3, which I don't think is even completely released yet. They don't have a GA release of that yet. So we're entering uncharted ground for sure. So hopefully it'll be good. We'll get some stuff done, but it might completely get stuck and fail. But that's where we are. So welcome. Thanks for checking it out. My normal plugs here. Let's bring up the old browser. First of all, I just want to make sure that I have my leaderboard query ready to go. I'll put this in table view so you can see. I'm keeping track of, well, I'll explain that in a second. But I want to give a plug to the Live Coders team on Twitch. This is a Twitch team of streamers who are doing lots of coding and tech and making and building, and they're answering questions. And it's a lot of great people on this team. So definitely check out all the different streamers here. Right here, it's twitch.tv/team/livecoders. And I believe the originator of this team is on this list somewhere. Maybe? He should be. C# Fritz is who I'm talking about. I'm not seeing him on the list for some reason. I know he's got to be on here. There he is, C# Fritz. At the bottom. Hey, Sinclairinator, thanks for stopping by. Yep, there he is, C# Fritz. So that's...
Bing, bada, boom.
And thank you for the follow, Sinclairinator. So definitely check out Team Live Coders on Twitch. The other one I want to point out is Awesome Developers Streaming List, which is... Whoa. Okay. I'm not sure why I got that screen on GitHub. Hopefully nothing sensitive on there. Okay. But Awesome Developer Stream. This isn't necessarily Twitch. It's a lot of Twitch streamers, but people who are streaming live coding in one form or another, Twitch or not. And I like to do a quick search here to see who else is streaming about databases and data. For instance, I'm on this list, and I do a lot of database stuff, Couchbase, backend, some other cool stuff like soldering and podcasting and VR. I'd like to see who else is on here, see if anyone else is new has come onto the list. So Rachel Tatman, Shirley Wu, Ted Young, Go Maestro Go, Jack Mott. Yeah, these are all names, same names that have been on here since Tuesday. So nothing new there, but this is a really helpful list if you want to just do a quick Control F. You can see all the different topics here. If you're into like Oracle, for instance, you can see that Go Maestro Go is doing some Oracle on the stream, apparently, or on her stream. Maestro, I'm assuming it's a him. But you can also look for game development, PHP, all kinds of topics. This is a great list for you to find someone streaming something that you're interested in. So definitely check that out. Okay. What else we got? Yeah, just another call to attention over here. You can see the bit.ly link, bit.ly/GrovesTube. That is where I post all the videos and highlights of videos after the streams are over. So they're stored on Twitch for some period of time, but I also put them on YouTube for a more permanent basis, so you can check those out. The other thing I wanted to bring up, and this is just something I played with a little bit yesterday, is I created some merch, a merch store in Cafe Press, and I really did this because I want one of these. So I created myself this little design, this little ampersand design. Hey, Coral R, thanks for dropping in. I created this little design, the ampersand. You might see this on T-shirts and stuff, but I put some I guess pillars of computer science names on there. I thought it was pretty cool. idea. So I want to get myself a mug, maybe a shirt like this, although I think I like the white on black better for the shirt. But if you want to check that out, cafepress.com/mattgroves. Anything like that interest you, or if you got any other ideas for merch, I'll throw them up there just for funsies. Not trying to make any money or anything on this. All right, TwitchBot. TwitchBot is on. You can see here that this is a bot I created. It's just called Matt's TwitchBot. I created this a week or two ago. All it's doing right now is logging messages, logging chat messages that are in the chat there, saving them to a database. And that is what I can query here to see who's on the leaderboard. So you can see we've got a new entry here. Sinclair Nader has 2 messages. You're now on the leaderboard there, Sinclair Nader. And Coral is 2nd place behind Calvin. Those 2 are my only mods at this point. And we go way back before Twitch, so that's why they're probably on the top there. But you too can be on this list as well if you just start writing messages. I don't know what else I'm going to do with this data other than just store it and query it. Maybe some machine learning somewhere down the line. I don't know yet. But I'm collecting that with the TwitchBot, which is also open source, by the way. It's on GitHub. There's not much to it, but if you want to see that, I can post a link to it. Power BI, says Sinclair Nader. Do some sort of visualization of it. Is that what you're getting at? I think I mentioned that before, some sort of data visualization. We could use Power BI or Noe or something like that to connect to Couchbase here and find some interesting stuff. It's just a matter of what exactly are we going to be putting in Power BI. I mean, I could create a pie chart or something like that, but I don't know. I'll think about it. Good suggestion, though. All right, and today, Entity Framework. This is the main thing we're going to work on today. I'm going to work on today is our Entity Framework Core 3 Couchbase provider. So on Tuesday, I started a shell project of this, and after the stream was over, I realized that I kind of messed up. That I actually I meant to use the preview. Let me see if I can bring this up here. I meant to use the preview branch. So I actually went over here, and if you remember, I went down here to release 3.0-preview 5. This is what I meant to actually clone and make my changes to. But when I cloned it, I just copied and pasted this link here, and I just used the master branch. So I messed up. I used the master branch instead of the release 3.0 preview 5 branch. So I went back and I redid it. It goes much faster when I'm not chatting and things. So it didn't take me that long, and plus I'd done it. It was recently fresh in my mind, so it didn't take me that long. There was, I think, one minor difference, and that has to do with compiling this. So let me go back to this page. I keep shutting it down. When you switch over here, you can see building from source actually expects you to execute build.command or build.shell if you're on Linux. Just distracted by a Slack message here. So I loaded this up in Visual Studio first and tried to compile it that way, and that gave me some strange errors. So I went back and I did this build.command, and then it compiled just fine. And then from this point on, it seems to be compiling just fine in Visual Studio itself. So I think it downloaded some additional dependencies that it needs because it's still in preview mode, like I said. So we're on cutting edge here. And then I went ahead and recreated the Couchbase project. And so I've actually moved that into a brand new repository, .NET-Couchbase-EF3. I don't want to confuse it with .NET-Couchbase-EF, which is another repo. Another repo that is going to be for EF2, EF2.x. So anyway. All right, so the thing I wanted to do Tuesday, and I didn't actually have time to get to it, was I wanted to create a sample project and start to plug in this Couchbase provider and to see where it breaks and to start actually putting some actual Couchbase logic into it. Because if you weren't watching the stream last time, all this is right now is just a copy of the Cosmos provider, Cosmos DB provider. that's that's a good place to start because Cosmos and Couchbase are both NoSQL databases. So it seems like a good place to start, but they are very, very different databases, and they have different SDKs, of course. So we have to make a lot of changes to get it to actually work. So if you can see here, I've actually brought in the Couchbase Net Client. That's the Couchbase SDK. I'm not actually using that yet, so that's where we need to actually do first. So one way to approach this is we can start hacking on these tests. And that's a big can of worms that I need to spend some time studying that to figure out the best way to approach that. We do need to do those, and the Entity Framework team has a great suite of tests that anyone writing a provider can use and integrate. They're not terribly well documented at this point, but they're out there, and so I need to dive into that. But I thought it'd be better a use of time on a stream here to get started to just create a sample project. And this can just be a console app. It's a really simple console app. And so I'm going to put this in source. And where do I want to put that? I also cleaned up my zproj folder. I put a lot of stuff in old. I sweeps all these old products I have here and under the rug of the old folder. I'm sure no one's ever done that before. So I want to put this in source. Do I want to put it in source? Or maybe in samples. I think I'll put in source for now. So source, and it's going to be called efcore.couchbase. We could call it example or sample project, something like that. That's probably fine. So creating a brand new project, adding it to the solution. And then I will make a reference from this project, not a NuGet package, but a reference to the Couchbase project there. And let's just see if that compiles. What's the squigglies for? Oh, because it's localizable. Yeah. Hey, Codebase Alpha. Hi there. How are you today? I don't know if you've actually been on the leaderboard yet or not either. So it looks like we've got another edition. Codebase Alpha, there you are, at 1 contribution. But you're on the list. You're on my list, Codebase Alpha. Okay. Oh, interesting, this error here. So another thing I did was, I did this, I wasn't, I can explain this here if this actually causes it to break. But the copyright headers. When I copied over the Cosmos files, it said .NET Foundation on them. And this project is not part of the .NET Foundation, at least not yet. Maybe it will be eventually, but at least not yet. So I wanted to take that out there. I don't want to be misleading about anything. But it looks like there is some sort of rule in place. Yeah. So I didn't actually compile this after I did that change. I didn't think it would cause anything to break. So that's a problem. I need to figure out where that rule is and take that out, I think. Or at least exclude this Couchbase product from it. See, this used to be a comment here, and it's supposed to be a, whoops. Yeah, it's supposed to be this, .NET Foundation. But again, this is not a .NET Foundation project, so I'm curious, where is that setting? I could certainly go back in and add them. Is it StyleCop? That would make sense. Yep. So I'm okay with it being under the Apache license. This shouldn't be, it's not that I'm not trying to not give them credit. It's just that I don't want it to be misleading, that people think that this is leave that in there. This is in the .NET Foundation project. Let's see if that works. Oh, just blowing up my Slack here. have to turn my phone on silent. It's my boss. All right. This is EF core abstractions. So this is, I did not expect to face this problem today. Okay, but that's fine. I'm not actually going to make changes to EF core abstractions, so I want to leave that in there. Is that StyleCop also? Oh, it's a shared StyleCop. Oh my, okay. That's what's going on. It's shared between all these projects. All right, well, then I think what I have to do is turn that off. Basically just remove this. See if that's enough. File. XML header is invalid. Huh? Man, I really opened up a hornet's nest here, didn't I? Schema. Yeah, this might also be part of it too, so. Let's try this. Yeah. Does anyone use StyleCop? Is there some sort of project or solution-wide setting for that? I can just turn that off. Because I could. I mean, if I just turn it off for Couchbase, that'd be fine. Let's see. Okay, I think it might be time for a Google here. Style, or was it, wait. StyleCop, not FXCop. StyleCop. Disable for project. So I do that. Temporarily disable. Disable StyleCop for solution/project. Rules enabled by default. Nick says it didn't work. Okay. Because basically, I think just need to bring this back to where it was. And advanced? No. C#8, that's fine. I'm going to disable StyleCop at the project level. It's a resharper thing. So opt out a single project. If you want nearly every project, you should only disable for a specific project. Create a file called settings.stylecop in your project and add this content. Okay. All the .settings files. Yeah, there are those in there. I think they're, yeah, I've got them at the solution level. But I think this will be fine if this works. If I just create this XML file settings.stylecop, if this works, in the project that I want to exclude from it. So I'll create a new item. Or could I just exclude this from the project? Would that work? Because it's a shared file. How do we exclude? Remove? Will that do it? We can just build Couchbase. Well, it's giving me the business here in another project, abstractions. So I don't think that's doing it. Okay, so let's bring it back. How do I bring it back? This is why we have source control. For example, that's the one I added. That's fine. This one here. Yeah. Okay, so I'll just revert that. Fine. What did I change here? Oh. Maybe it is fine after all. Let's just double check. Oh, okay, and we'll just remove that from that project and build the Couchbase project. See if it's happy with that. Okay, so it's still not happy because of something else. It's a different error. The file header XML is invalid. Standard file header. So is another check of it? Is that what's going on? Well, I'll try this. Settings.stylecop. New item. And it's just an XML file, right? Settings.stylecop. Something like that. Rules enabled by default is false. Still doesn't like it. So that's not doing anything. Settings.stylecop. Oh boy. Some more yak shaving here. Well, it's adding some XML to it now, but that's not really what was there before. efcore.solution.settings. Search for file header. Okay. efcore. Let's see. Solution. Well, I'm not using that solution. I'm using this solution. .settings. Search for file header. There's no file header in there. efcore. There's no file header in there either. Not that I'm even using that one. There's this .settings.user. There's not a user file for anything else. I don't know if it's just trying to build one itself. Solution dot settings. Oh, okay. Because it's actually referring to the EF core solution dot settings. So maybe if I don't have the dot settings in here, let's just remove this. I don't know. Back. Okay. Still. Is there one down here? This is CS-project.user. That contains the file header information for the .NET Foundation, XML, text, etc. Try renaming the EF core solution .NET settings or dot settings. Okay, I'll give that a try. That's right here. EF core, like this, like so. Clean everything up. So what you're saying is, if I look in that file, that's where I'd see all the rules. Lots of rules there, and some of these are, I'm sure, very useful rules. But the one I'm concerned about is that comment header. If I knew this would be a problem, I probably wouldn't have gone through and done that. I was just, while I was there renaming things and replacing things, I thought, yeah, I'll take care of this while I'm at it. Oh, still doesn't like it. I wonder, did I... Oh, wait, try closing and reopening Visual Studio. Okay. Always good to try turning it off and on again. All right, Visual Studio 2019. And we'll bring this guy and open here again. Thank you for your help, Sinclairinator. If I'm not mistaken, I believe you are someone I know from Twitter. Are you, in fact, Jeremy Sinclair? Sinclairinator on Twitter. It must be you. With an O instead of 0. Was the one with O already taken, or is it just cooler to have the 0 in there? Someone stole the 0. On Twitter they stole the 0? So the Twitch name is the one you want to have. Need to update Visual Studio one of these days. All right. We still got a fail. I didn't see the error messages there. Codeannotations.cs. Is that a file in this project? Codeannotations.cs. Oh, there's one here in the Couchbase project. Oh, but it's a shared project, right? This is another shared project. I'm assuming. Because I think I only replaced these headers just in the Couchbase projects. So this one must be outside. What we got here? Enumeration items should be documented. Okay. That's interesting. What is that going to do? Add StyleCop. So I'm seeing something different. Oh boy. Gotten myself in quite a mess here. Yeah, I'm back to this again. Okay, well, I'm going to just try to revert, because this is just holding me up, and this is some yak shaving I don't want to do. I don't know how I'm going to do that. Take a look at the history. I don't think I made that a separate commit. Show log. .NET Couchbase StyleCop, rename it or delete. Yeah, the thing is, I don't think it's in that folder. Let me just double check. Source. Yeah, is this okay? It's there, but that's for the whole project. You're saying if I just get rid of that? Yeah, it's an error that it can't be found, and it's still getting these code annotation errors. I don't know what's going on. Yeah, this is the problem, is that when I committed this stuff, I committed it without those headers. So I'm going to try to put them back. And work on that later. Examples is fine. Solution file. Yeah, that's fine. I already looked at that one. Okay. So for instance, up here, like anywhere in this project, oh, what is going on? Did I delete something else? .settings.back. Oh, that file. Huh. I think it recreated it or something. Okay, let's just do this. I'm going to do a find replace. Find that, replace with that. But it's not doing multi-line. Shoot. Well, I can't just find and replace // Oh, this is obnoxious. I shouldn't have done this. I got way ahead of myself for no reason. There's probably some regular expression I could use for that. There's just so many. There's just be so much time to do this manually. Well, so there's one. Was that a resharper thing that added that? Maybe there's like a mass resharper refactoring I can do here. Nope, doesn't look like it. There's got to be a way to do this. There's got to be a way to disable. I can just disable StyleCop completely. Try looking at the code analysis settings for the solution project. If anything, just remove the StyleCop completely from the projects. All right, so code analysis settings for the solution. Code analysis settings, there's nothing. It says been deprecated for the project. I don't remember seeing a code analysis setting any of these. Does it temporarily disable StyleCop? The root of your solutions folder. Oh. Maybe this is what I need to do. The root of the solutions folder. So again, I'll close down Visual Studio here. And what was it called? Settings.stylecop? Just try that. All right, let's try it again. So far, so good. Not showing any output, though. Rebuild the whole thing. Same error messages. So you say remove StyleCop completely from the project. That's not just... Oh, it is a dependency. Maybe I can just do that. Still building. That would be one easy way to take it out. Just, yeah, so there's my same error list. I could just remove it. From NuGet. Jeez, spent way too much time on this. We're at 45 minutes. Just fighting with StyleCop. Wish we had known this ahead of time. StyleCop analyzers. Uninstall. See if that breaks anything else. Hey, all right. So there's that. And probably in this as well. Oh, not in the tests. Okay, I think we're good. Let's rebuild the whole thing. Okay, fantastic. So I'm going to commit that at this point. Yes, thank you, Sinclair Nader. We got it. We got that yak shaved. Okay, that's all I need to commit at that point is this proj file. Yep. StyleCop checks from Couchbase project. Hopefully that'll make it a little easier to people contribute to this project as well. Okay. Couchbase example. Okay, so at this point, let's go to Entity Framework. Let's look at the excellent Microsoft Docs site, because I think there's a nice, like, Entity Framework core getting started, like the simplest thing you can do. Installing EF core. Yep. I just am looking for a code snippet here. Fundamentals. Yeah, this is what I'm looking for. So I'm going to do this, I think. Actually, That's not what I'm looking for. Well, that's part of what I'm looking for. So I've got this stuff here. It's model builder, public class blog. Wait, what? What happened here? Something go wrong in pasting. Oh, it's inside my program. I don't want that. Just outside the program class. And this is just a really simple example of a blog that has a URL and nothing else. That's a really simple entity, and that's a good place to start. And this DB context, missing internal modifier. No, this goes to be public. That's fine. That's fine. But I need to, at some place, actually tell it which provider to use. Yes, like right here. So this options builder. So what's going on in, wait, is that's the on configuring? On configuring. Okay. And do I keep the base in there? This seems to think that I don't keep the base in there. Okay. Options builder dot use, and then this is where you specify the type of database to use. Hey, Surly Dev. Michael Jolly just mentioned you in his stream. He has a special treat for you if you go into his stream later. Uh-oh. Is he going to play the song live? I subscribed to the Michael Jolly yesterday on Twitch, and for all his subscribers, I think he used to anyway. He used to play a live acoustic version of "You Are My Sunshine," but he played a recording yesterday. So I don't know. He was working on rebuilding his stream and stuff yesterday. So I'm sure he had other things on his mind. But now you got me curious. What's going on with Michael Jolly? May go in there later. Okay. So in this case, if I already had, I've already added Couchbase as a reference. But if you could add a SQL Server as a reference, Postgres, Cosmos, whatever, you typically use this extension method, an options builder, to use Couchbase. Now, remember, I've pretty much just copied and pasted this from Cosmos. So it wants a service endpoint, which is a string, an auth key or resource token, which is a string, and a database name, which is a string. Those are the things that it wants. Those things do not make sense in Couchbase. There's others. You wouldn't necessarily specify a service endpoint. You specify one or more servers, one or more nodes in the Couchbase cluster. And you wouldn't necessarily specify an auth key or resource token. You would specify some sort of authorization implementation, like a password authentication or certificate authentication. And database name doesn't really, that's not really the nomenclature of Couchbase. You'd probably specify bucket name. So we're at the very, very beginning here. We need to actually go in and start making changes to make this more Couchbase specific. So let's start by saying, instead of service endpoint, we're going to use client configuration, which is typically the type of configuration object you use to connect to Couchbase. And instead of auth or resource token, we're going to say authenticator. And this is an object that implements some sort of authentication. And typically this is going to be username and password. But there's other options. And that's how we use to authenticate to Couchbase. And finally, instead of database name, we're going to say bucket name. Now, and I've done this process before. The way this works is that we're doing some checks here, which is fine. We'll get to that in a second. But what we're doing basically is we're building up this extension information, these extension options. And so we've got these other extension methods here with service endpoint, with auth key with database name. So those we need to change. So where are those? With service endpoint. Those are going to be here in the Couchbase option extension. So again, service endpoint, auth key, those don't make sense. So we're going to change those, and we're going to basically replace these extensions here. Region doesn't really work the same way in Couchbase as it does for Cosmos, so we can just get rid of region completely. This other stuff, we'll leave it in for now. Although, how much of this is actually, some of this might actually be part of the interface. So I don't want to get rid of those, but yeah, we don't need region. Don't need that. Execution strategy factor. So that's another, yeah, I don't know if that makes sense as a separate thing for Couchbase. It's a factory for creating the default or null. If not, okay, yeah. Options, yeah. So I'm not sure what that is, what that means in Cosmos world. So we'll just comment out. And the rest of this looks like it's just the normal stuff that you'd get, that you'd have for the implementation. Now these things need to go too. That's just some logging. Okay. So what we'd say instead is we'd have, instead of service endpoint, we'd have public virtual client configuration, and that'll just be client configuration. And this is just following the same convention here that they used, that Cosmos used. There's some other ways to do this. But that's going to be a private client configuration, like so. Oh, why doesn't it like, oh, because I got to name it. Yeah, client configuration. Okay. And then there's like a accessor function, kind of. Not accessor function, but so like a Fluent API. We'll just start with client configuration. And that's going to be client configuration, and this does some cloning. Pretty sure this is how most Fluent interfaces work. And this is going to set in the private member to whatever is passed in publicly, return the clone. So it's basically saying, okay, some new information is coming into me. I'm going to make a copy of myself, put that new information in, and then return myself. And this clone, I don't, you know, this is, I think that's just a, yeah, it's just newing it up and passing itself in. So that's it's kind of a, we're defining how the clone works here in the constructor. And so with that in mind, we have to also say client configuration equals copy from client configuration. And you see that this is a protected constructor. So we can only really do this cloning from within this class or anything that inherits from this class, which is fine. We don't need to be cloning from outside. Okay, so one down. All right, and the next one is authentication, right? So public virtual authenticator. We'll call it authenticator. Okay, and up here, private. It's a, yeah, it's an interface. Okay, and authenticator equals copy from authenticator. Good. And then a little Fluent deal here, Couchbase options extensions with authenticator. And it's authenticator. Cloned. I know some of this code might look a little weird compared to what you normally would write. but I'm basically trying to follow in the footsteps of the EF team when they're building the Cosmos version of this. And the more I stick to the way they do things, the easier it's going to be for me to ask them for help. And the easier it's going to be for other community members who've worked on other providers to jump in and also help. So I'm sort of doing some weird stuff here out of the ordinary, but the purpose of this is to just try to keep this code as approachable as possible, because I do not intend to be the single entity framework core 3 Couchbase provider developer in perpetuity. I'm not anything like that. I'm just trying to get the ball rolling and get other people who, I know there's interest for this out there, so I'm trying to get it started so that other people with interest can jump in and say, oh yeah, okay, I'll take this part and I'll take this part and so on. So that's my goal. Whether it's actually going to happen or not, we'll see. Okay, and the last one coming in is the bucket name. So this is something that may change in the future. As I discussed Tuesday, currently Couchbase is, you're just putting data in buckets, but we're adding scope and collection, so that may also figure into changes coming down the line. But the way this is built is that we could just add we could have some default values for those, which probably makes sense, and we can add some optional parameters to this back here, right? We're passing in this bucket name and stuff, so we could add some options to this, and that'll be totally fine. But for now, we're just going to keep it simple and say bucket name. And I think I missed one here. A public virtual string. Whoops. Bucket name. Yep, I accidentally hit compile. Don't need to do that yet. Okay, and then once again, public virtual Couchbase options extension with bucket name, string bucket name. Clone equals clone dot bucket name equals bucket name, return clone. Okay, and the region stuff can just all go, and so can that. That can all go. Okay, this logging stuff, I don't exactly know, because it's really simple here. It's just strings. But I could, for instance, write out bucket name equals and then append. This is just a string builder. I don't know why it's being formatted this way, but what else do I write? Because those objects being passed in are relatively complex objects. They're not just strings. So we could just put a little note in here. Client, what's the object called? Client configuration. And we'll just put in a to-do. I don't know. Gotta love the to-dos. And authenticator. Okay. Just so we have something logged and an indication that maybe we need to log something there. Okay, let's get rid of all this commented out code that I don't need anymore. I don't know what this debug info is. Cosmos was 1, so I don't know. Keep it at 1. I don't see any reason. I don't know what this actually does, so I'm not going to change it. And okay, everything's good there. All right. Back over here, you can see that these don't work anymore. But we've got with authenticator, which is being passed in here, with bucket name, which is being passed in, and with client configuration, which is being passed in. This is something of an abstraction over the configuration. That's the whole point of this. And we could check to make sure these are not null as well, just as like sort of a runtime check. But we'll start with that. This is really, I mean, this is just boilerplate stuff here. These all have to be, whoops. This has to be not null. I mean, that just kind of makes sense. And there's some other parameters up here. So, yeah, once again, it should be these three. This is just an overload of it. So this should just be a pretty simple copy and paste, and that should work. That's an overload. What's the difference here? The difference here is options builder, client configuration, authenticator, bucket name. I'm not seeing a difference here. What's the... Oh, this is typed with the T context. Okay, yeah, that's fine. And why doesn't it like this? Not empty. Yeah, it should be not null. This should be not empty. Is there a not null or empty? I mean, it should be either one, right? Not null, not empty. Yeah, that's fine. Okay. Now it should compile, I think. I don't think I missed anything. I did miss something. Oh yeah, the execution strategy stuff. So there is no, I don't know what that equivalent would be in Couchbase, and there's no, as far as the SDK is concerned, there's no region. So that can all go. There's still a possibility of doing regions in Couchbase, but it's not something that you control with the SDK level. This is the client wrapper. So this is all stuff that would need to be stored. Right, so the client configuration is options. You can see how we're kind of abstracting here. Authenticator. I don't know if we need to store all this stuff yet, but may as well. And what's the last one? A bucket name. I don't know what execution strategy. Wrapper is in there for. Okay. Now that's not actually being used yet, because if you remember from yesterday, this is where, or from Tuesday, this is where I put in a lot of those not implemented exceptions. But I'm going to have to eventually use the client configuration, authenticator, and bucket name to actually interface with Couchbase via the SDK. We're not there yet. We're still working on configuration. Yeah, it's more execution strategy stuff. I don't... you know, it might help me look up what that actually is in Cosmos, so I could maybe make sure that's something that we can still support. Cosmos DB. Execution plans. I don't know what execution strategy is. So, I mean, for Cosmos, that's probably something important. For Couchbase, I don't think that's important. I could absolutely be wrong here. Where is this actually used? Not found. Okay, well, I mean, this may be just a nothing. Let's just comment this whole thing out. So it looks like it's just involved around that. And if I'm not using that, then I don't need it. Okay, yeah, okay. So, yep, so that's the highest level where it's used. And we'll get to this here soon enough, I think. The actual stuff. Yep, we're just getting rid of all kinds of... So now we're in the test project. So again, this is region-specific stuff. We don't have regions in the SDK, so we get rid of those. So that means, I think that means we're out of the project. We're into the test now. So if anything fails, it's probably in the tests. Yep. Yeah, so you can see some things here that are different. I'm just going to comment those out for now. I think for the most part, these tests are going to have to be all rewritten. And by rewritten, I mean there's a huge test suite that Entity Framework teams made that you basically just implement by overriding it by inheriting from base classes. So this test stuff may be for naught. Oh, what's this? Couchbase test store. What missing members are there? I don't know what that is. Okay. We'll get to it. Yeah, again, more region stuff. Okay, yeah, and a lot of these tests, you see this is, I mean, yeah. This is it's trying to use the old Cosmos way of doing things. So that test store, yeah. So that's going to need to be reworked when we actually go do testing, because it's, yeah, all those tests are written with Cosmos in mind, obviously. So test store context. Yeah. Yeah, I'm basically commenting this whole thing out, so just not sure I want to actually remove this file yet, because when I go to actually write these tests, but then I want to have the code next to it, so I'm again following along the styles and what they expect to happen. Yeah. So this is going to be this is going to affect everything. So, so I don't want to comment that out just yet. Okay, we're still in the test. We're almost to the example. And the example is the part I want to get to. Couchbase test helpers. Oh, that needs to have that one in there, I assume. Okay, now we're in the example. And so what we need to do then is we need to actually create the client configuration. So let's just comment this out for a second. Client configuration. And this is where we need to tell the SDK normally how to get to Couchbase. It's kind of like a connection string. But the way we do this in the SDK is we give it a list of nodes. I only have the one running on my machine right now. So I'll just pass that in. Okay. And I have Authenticator. And the bucket name I'll give it is, I'll just call it EF test. I haven't created that bucket yet. But I'll just create a password authenticator. And I'll use the admin credentials, administrator, and password. Now what you're starting to see here is these are parts of the Couchbase SDK. They're actually up here in these Couchbase namespaces, right? So I delete those turn red. And so I'm passing in Couchbase specific things to this Couchbase extension method. And so we can sort of start to connect the entity framework provider to Couchbase. Oh, this should be a new URI, not a string. I've done it a million times. You think I would have gotten it right by now. Okay. And so now in my program, I create a context equals new my context, right? And so then I can say context.blogs.add and a new blog. And the blog ID is going to be, I don't know, some GUID. And the blog URL is going to be whatever. It's just crosscuttingconcerns.com. Why is it like this? Oh, because it's supposed to be an integer. Okay. If that's really going to be the key, we're not going to use an integer. We're going to use a string. Okay. And context.save changes. And is there a dispose? Yeah, there's a dispose. So this is me actually using Entity Framework. So there's nothing, this part that's really specific to Couchbase, right? This would work the same way if I were using Cosmos or SQL Server or whatever. I would create a context. I would add some entities or modify some entities on that context. And then when I'm done, I'd save changes. And at that point, it would commit the changes to the database. Or write the changes to the database, and then dispose is what I do at the end when the program's running, just to release any of those any of the resources. Okay. So at this point, this should compile. It did, and I'm going to make this sample project the startup, just to make my life a little easier. Now, when I run this, I'm going to get an exception, because I haven't actually implemented anything yet other than configuration. Let's just see what exception we get. Okay, that's fine. It's an exception in here. It didn't, here we go. All right, so not implemented exception, exactly what we'd expect. So it's actually doing this create item once async method, and it's finding that it's not implemented. So perfect. So we know to go to create item once async. We can see we have this not implemented exception here. So at this point, I think we've gone far enough to say, all right, let's actually try writing something to the database. And so I've got, and the way that it does this in Cosmos is it has a container ID and this document. Now I've already got the bucket as an option. So I don't necessarily, I can probably ignore that container ID, but all this code down here, this is a bunch of Cosmos specific code. But when I've got this just J token, I'm going to try to write that to the database, I think, and let's just see what happens. So you see I've got all these things like this is where I've got the where are they? Yeah, right here, client configuration, authenticator, bucket name. So what Cosmos did, and what I'm going to do very similarly, is do like a lazy loading sort of thing, where this Couchbase client. Now, it was called Cosmos client, but what in Couchbase we're actually going to call this a bucket. And I'm just going to rename this to bucket. And so this will just be, whoops, bucket. And this is some lazy loading, and it's going to say new bucket, Couchbase configuration. Yeah, it's just going to so I don't know if build's the right word, but connect to Couchbase bucket. So we can call this here and make this bucket. Great. And most of this we're just going to tear it out. So up here I'll have, because this bucket will need to be accessed by most everything in this class. And also need to create a cluster. Not too many parentheses here. So I might need to double it up. And call this cluster. So, yeah. So you have a Couchbase cluster, which is, just think of that as the physical machines, the actual machines that run Couchbase. There could be a bunch of them. They're all clustered together. In my case, I have a cluster of one node on my local machine, but it could be up to 100, hundreds of nodes, right? So there's a cluster object, and then from the cluster, you're actually able to start addressing buckets. So we will connect to Couchbase cluster. So I'm going to create sort of these two convenience methods here. Cluster. And this may not be the best way to do it. There's a cluster manager that's already built into Couchbase. That may be the better way to go about it. But let's just do this for now. And cluster. The cluster itself we don't need to use. Well, we may need to use sometimes in this API, but we're mostly using the bucket. We still need a handle on the cluster because we're going to have to dispose it later. So cluster equals new cluster, and all we do is pass in the client configuration for that, and we'll also authenticate to it using the authenticator. All right. And easy as that, we'll return, I think I did this wrong. I don't want to actually make that, yeah. I'll make that local, scope locally here, and return it. Okay, and bucket is very simple. We'll just say cluster, in fact, let's use this one, cluster.open bucket with the bucket name. That ought to do it. And then, before I forget, down here in Dispose, as I said, we're going to actually have to hey, buddy. Hey, Dev Chatter. Thanks for coming in. You just raided the channel. Uh-oh. What does that mean? I'm being raided. A party of 28. Oh no. Everybody's getting hype. Brandonius. Hey man, thanks for coming by. Even though you beat me earlier in the bits competition. It's good to see that you come by and raid. I appreciate that. So thank you. Look there, me. Oh, I know. Now you've got second place in this channel. You're just racking up all those badges, all those bits medals. Thank you for the bits, sir. Appreciate that. Public void dispose. Okay. So this is, let's just do this. I want to say cluster dot dispose. That's it. Why is the spacing all off on this? So what does I've never been raided before. What does a raid mean? Maybe you could fill me in on this, Brandonius. You've been doing this longer than me. I didn't chat with you at the Stir Treks. Were you at the Stir Trek? Wait, which one are you? Are you both? Dev Chatter and Brandonius? You know, I was quite busy at the Stir Treks. I was a room proctor, and you know, I was able to talk to a few people at lunchtime, but I wasn't able to.
Bing, bada, boom.
Hey, thank you, Ace2610, for the follow. I wasn't able to talk to very many people even during lunchtime at Star Trek, and of course, can't talk during the movie either. So, you were in a room. That would explain my not seeing you. I was tied to a specific room. Star Trek was very nice this year. I was very happy. There was one particular session I was looking forward to quite a bit, and I got to be a proctor in that room, so I was very happy for that. Okay, raid means everyone who was in my channel and was willing to go on the raid is now here, or has since left. So you brought 28 viewers over to my channel. That's pretty cool. You weren't looking forward to my session. You know, pretty much every session at Star Trek was a very good session. You know, I was on the selection committee as well. And so, you know, I helped put a lot of work into selecting really good sessions. So, yeah. But there was one session in particular that from reviewing all the sessions, I was like, yes, this is going to be fantastic. Were you not a speaker this year, Brandonius? So I didn't literally review all the sessions. I reviewed like 2 or 3 tracks worth. You spoke, but you weren't selected. Okay. I don't know what that means. You didn't submit any sessions. Oh, you didn't submit any. Well, there you go. I can't select you if you didn't submit any. All right. You were the Wednesday invited speaker. Wednesday? Oh. There was a last-minute cancellation? Is that what you're talking about? Yeah, I didn't know who it was, but I heard that someone had pulled out like at the very last second. Okay. So let's go back over to the example program. So, okay, so client wrapper, where was I? Someone was a morning of. Oh, that's right, there was a morning of. Someone canceled like the day of Star Trek, which that's unfortunate. You know, I've been in a position where I had to cancel like the day before a conference because of just travel problems. And that is, I feel super bad when that happens. It doesn't happen very much, but it's not cool. So I issued a formal apology because you know, I'm not the world's greatest speaker, Brandonius. I don't know if you're aware. I'm not the world's greatest speaker, but one thing I do pride myself on is I will show up. So when I couldn't show up, that is no good. Yeah, it's important to conferences to have backups. Yeah, in fact, when we were on the selection committee, we selected more than the total number of spots, I think, with the idea of that we could maybe go to those people for backups. Anyway, Star Trek was great. That's what I'm saying. It was a really great conference. Now, where was I? I was trying to implement a method here before I was raided. Very distracting. No, but I'm kidding. Thank you very much. All right, so at this point we have a bucket, and this is going to, it's called create item once. So you don't have to talk to me. You know, I feel like if someone takes the time to write a message into my chat room, that I want to engage with them. I want them to be free to ask questions. In fact, I say that a lot on this channel. Those of you who are rating, one of my mottos is something passed down to me from my father, was that the only stupid question is the one you don't ask. So if someone posts a message or a question, I want to talk to you about it. I want to you know, express my appreciation for you participating. Okay. So I'm just going to put this as a placeholder for now. I'm going to put the actual parameters.document. So the actual key, ACE 2610, we like to engage with you as well as you code. Okay. Are you saying I'm a good coder? Because I've been struggling today. Let me just tell you that. But anyway, thank you for that, Ace. I definitely, that's one of the best things about Twitch. In fact, that's probably the main thing about Twitch is, you know, I could sit here and talk to a camera all day, but you know, I like to have people hang out with me. All right. So with this, create item once async. So with the Cosmos, this is like an insert operation. It's putting an item into Cosmos, a Cosmos collection. So the equivalent for that in Couchbase would be an insert, I think, is what we're going for, a bucket.insert. And with an insert, you have two parts. You have a key, and then the actual object that is going to be serialized to JSON. Now, we're not quite, this isn't all we have to do, because I believe this document actually contains the document key. So I have to extract that and put it here instead of using this GUID. But this is also a synchronous method, so I need to also say insert async and await that. And I'm not sure what the actual bool is supposed to return here. Oh, just that it was successful. Okay. So in that case, we'll get a result. And we'll return result dot success. Easy as that. Result also contains any exceptions or error messages and stuff like that, but we'll keep it simple for now. Let's see if this works. And reminds me, I need to actually create the actual bucket on Couchbase, which I didn't do yet. But it was, what did I call it? EF test. So create a bucket, EF test, just give it the minimum size, that's fine. And I'm going to use administrator credentials for this, so I don't need to create any special users or anything. All right, we're all set. Let's see if this works. Okay, there's an exception there. All right, object reference is not set to an instance of an object. Good old null reference exception. Create item once. Where's that happening at? Let's see. It's in the create item once, so it's in here somewhere. Is the parameters itself? Let's try this again. We'll step through with the debugger. Is the parameters itself null? That's all I can think of. No, that's got something there. Parameters.document has something. So you can kind of see what I meant by that. There's all this. This is the actual objects being passed in. All I'm trying to save is this key, blog ID, and this URL. And the rest of this stuff is just some stuff that the Cosmos thing is putting in there that eventually I don't really necessarily want those to be in there. Discriminator I might want to leave in there, call it something different. Ace says, null reference exceptions, there'll be history come C#8. Well, I think it's true that you have nullable references coming in C#8. I don't know if that means that just they're all going to be gone the day that C#8 is released. But we're definitely going to be on the path to that. So that's very cool. So what is oh, it's the bucket is null. Ah, I know what I did wrong here. I'm not supposed to use underscore bucket. I'm supposed to use bucket because that's where the lazy loading takes place. All right. So now it should work just fine. We should see an object in Couchbase, and should see no exception here. Okay. What is this message? Automatically close the console when debugging stops. Okay, well, whatever. It finished. No errors, and you can see there's one document in there, and you can see that it is that blog. So back here in my sample project, my blog was just this ID and URL, and there we go. Blog ID, URL. Now, this up here, that is actually, I want this to actually be up here. And this, I probably want to leave that in. And these two things, they can go. There's no need for a partition key in Couchbase like this. Partitioning and indexing is handled in a different way. And then this is like a constructed ID. I think that can go as well. Although we could easily make this the ID. That would be fine too. Okay. So we could just kind of do this in a hacky way. We could say it could ID equals parameters dot document. And what do? You do like this and put in this. That needs to be a toString. And we can also document equals parameters dot document. Can we say document dot, can we do a remove? Or how do you actually remove something from a J object? Anybody know the J object API offhand? Like that? Or is it like remove child maybe? Yeah, I don't know. Figure it out. But what else was in there? There was partition key, which ultimately we may not want to even just create. I'll figure out where that is and just take it out of here. But document right here. Okay, now let's delete this. And let's try it again, see what happens. Oh, cannot add or remove items from J property. Okay. So this is a J token. But this is... What is this? Is that a J property? It's also a J token, but J token I think is the base class. All right, let's take a quick peek here. J token remove property. How to remove nodes. J property. J token children. Let's see. Remove list element dot remove. L as J property. Okay, well, I don't know. We'll figure that out, but let's just make sure this works. I'm going to pull the actual ID out. Okay. Looks like that did the trick. There it is. So I've actually taken that generated key and used it as the document key. It's still in here, so this needs to probably go. We could leave it technically, but probably should go unless we explicitly want to leave it in there. This needs to go. Whoop. This needs to go. This discriminator. Typically, I don't know if this is a Cosmos DB thing or not, but typically in Couchbase we would call it type or underscore type or doc type or something like that, just to act like a discriminator between the different documents in the bucket. So need to figure out how to remove those, and that's probably good enough for just getting documents in there. We can just find out where this partition key comes from. Maybe just cut it off at the source. There's this ID value generator. Let's see. Couchbase data wrapper. Okay, so it's just adding it right here, it looks like. It's all putting it 0. Is that what it is in here? I deleted it, didn't I? Shoot. Okay, it's 0. Yeah, so I can just get rid of that. There's no reason for that to even be in there, as far as Couchbase is concerned. Okay, delete that one. Let's try it again. Okay, it worked. And this partition key in there. It's gone. Okay, so that was easy enough. So we'll need that. But then it's got put the ID in there, and it's actually put in blog ID as well. So here's something I'm curious about with the annotations. Do you specify which field is a blog or which field is a key? Entity first, code first, or database first? So, Surly Dev, this is that's probably a moot question for what I'm building here. This is not a relational database. Couchbase is a NoSQL. It's a document database, and so the idea with database first is that it's going to generate classes based on the tables that are in there, and code first is you're going to generate tables based on the classes, right? Well, in the case of something like Cosmos or Couchbase, you don't have tables. You don't have a predefined schema other than what's in your application. So I guess it's going to be code first if you want to put it that way, but there's no actual schema manipulation going on here. Now, with Cosmos, there are some things like collections that it's not exactly a schema, so there might be something to that, but we're not that far yet. We're not just a user here. We're not just using Entity Framework. We're actually building out the Entity Framework provider, because there isn't one for Couchbase. So we're building it all. Well, there isn't one for Entity Framework Core 3 for Couchbase. So we're building one out here, completely from scratch. So I'm kind of interested in how Entity Framework, Cosmos DB, like how do they specify the keys? Entity Framework Core, like how does that work? Do they use the data annotations or not? I'm trying to find some Cosmos specific documentation for Entity Framework Core. Oh wait, did I miss one? Cosmos, here we go. Oh, well, that's a NuGet site, great. EF Core project. As a blog, maybe this blog will be helpful. Whoa. What's going on here? Okay, yeah, so we've got key and we've got required on this. This is kind of what I was looking for. I don't know why the styles aren't loading. There we go. Really enjoying the stream, but I have to leave the office to go home. It's a little past 8 p.m. in Lagos, Nigeria. Cheers, Matt. I'll look you up on Twitter and follow. Ace, thanks for stopping by. You know, didn't I just see someone on Twitter who was from Lagos recently? Let's see. Someone I just came across from Lagos today. That can't be a coincidence. It must be you. But you came over. I thought you came over with Brandonius. Is it Lagos or Lagos? I don't know. Yeah. Mike Ahala? It must be you. Mike says on Twitter. So that can't be a coincidence. Unless, you know, Lagos has this huge collection of people who are interested in live streaming, in coding and Twitter and databases. I don't actually know how big Lagos is or anything like that. So forgive my ignorance. Okay. So I'm going to put key on there, and I'm going to make the URL required. Let's just see what happens if I do this. See if anything different happens. Okay. It looks like nothing different happened. Oh, well, speaking of streaming, I got about 15 minutes left of my planned streaming time. So that's about where I am right now. Let's put something else in here. Just so I can make these documents a little different from each other. Timestamp equals date time dot now. Wow, real coincidence. LOL, it's pronounced Lagos, and it has a population of over 20 million people. Okay, then my mistake. It's a little bit of a coincidence, but with 20 million people and a big tech community, it seems totally possible that I come across two people from Lagos in the same day. So if you're not the same person, that's really cool. Thank you for stopping by anyway, Ace2610. You have a good day. All right. Something else here I want to change, and I want to get away from GUID here, just so I can verify something. Maybe just get random file name instead. Yep. Okay. So I just want to make sure that Cosmos wasn't itself generating a GUID, but okay. So see, this is kind of the thing with document databases. I just added a field to a C# class, and now it shows up in this document, and it's not in these documents, right? There's no timestamp in those. So there's no strict schema that it has to follow from document to document. Now, in reality, you're not going to, generally speaking, for most applications, it's not going to be that Wild West, right? It's going to be relatively consistent from document to document, but it doesn't have to be. And there are some reasons, and there are some things you can do with that capability. But all right, let's see. So if this is required, and let's say I put null on here, is that going to give me an error? Is that checking already built in? It looks like no. Okay, well, that's interesting. So it's sort of ignoring that required on there. Or maybe, I don't know, if that's the way Entity Framework works already. I don't know for sure. I don't think so. All right, so what else? We've got the ability to add documents. The fact that it's putting this blog pipe in front of these keys, it doesn't really need to do that. So I'm kind of curious how it's doing that and why. Maybe I can just search for the pipe character, see where that's happening. Oh, I'm searching in the current project. ID value generator. So where is this ID value generator coming from? Store key convention. Store key convention. So this is the database wrapper. So it's using it for modifying something. Builder and discriminator. So this is creating an ID. Pen string. What is that? Why is there a slash there? What's that all about? Well, maybe we can just sort of set some breakpoints and see what happens here. Just gonna walk through this. All right, so what is entity entry? What is this? It's so right now it's just got the blog ID and some sort of entity type. Here's the entity. Okay, so that's all the fields. That's the entity itself. Entity entry. All right, so we're going to string builder, and it's going to try to find the primary key. Oh, that's interesting. How does it find the primary key? Really got to dig for this, huh? Primary key. This is an entity type. So this is actually in the framework core. I'm not touching this. Equals new key. So that is something that Entity Framework's doing itself, which is totally fine. Okay, discriminator value is, it looks like it's just, well, this is Couchbase method here. So I think that's just getting the class name. That's all that's doing. So discriminator does not equal null, and the properties does not contain discriminator property. Interesting. The append string. Get this builder, property value blog. So it's just append, so it's just blog, and then it appends the pipe to it. Okay. And this is partition key thing again, which I don't care about, but it's fine. It can stay in there. Check it. And then it's going to get the property name. And this property is the primary key, I guess? Blog ID. Yeah, okay. Why is it appending another pipe to it? Oh, huh. And there's a little hack here to remove the pipe at the end. Okay. All right, so this is... okay. I don't think we need to use the discriminator at all in this. That's something that in Couchbase world anyway, it's typically something we leave. We don't... I mean, you can put a discriminator in the key, absolutely, but it's not something that that I don't think I necessarily want to leave to the entity framework to do. I can come out of this part too. I don't need that, and we don't need that. We don't even need the builder here, honestly. It looks like, look at all these properties. So if I had a key on, yeah, and so I think, and normally in Couchbase the what we've seen people use is : instead of a pipe for separating those values. But I could see potentially you have a document that you want to build up a key with multiple properties. So I think that's what's going on here. Let's see what happens. It didn't blow up. And here's the document right there. It didn't put, oh. Yeah, this is going to need to be, remove the last two characters because it's not pipe anymore, it's : So delete that. Let me delete all of these. Remove any trailing delimiter. Okay, there we go. And so the discriminator is no longer part of the key, which is fine. Now I'm curious though, if I mark two fields as the key, just call it foo. Now I'll do another one. Is it going to append those keys with the delimiter? That'd be pretty cool, actually. Oh, we got an error message. Composite primary key defined with data annotations. To set primary composite. Okay. So you gotta use a different API for that. All right, I'm not too concerned about that, but I was just kind of curious about it. All right, and then over here, where was it? Yeah, this. Don't need that. I'll leave that loop in there just in case someone does create the composite key. Hurricane 36 min, off by 1. Hey, man. What are you up to? I haven't talked to you in forever. Hurricane is used to live here in the Ohio area, and he took off for, I think he lives overseas now. But he's a cool guy. And I think actually you're one of my earliest Twitch followers, like way back in the day when I was just messing around. So, hey, great to see you. Thanks for stopping by. Thanks for the Pikachu emoji, I guess. Building an entity framework core provider, which is a pretty big windmill to tilt at, I think. But I don't expect to build the whole thing. I just want to sort of get the project started. I know there's interest out there in the Couchbase community for this, so get some other people to pitch in as well. But hey, thanks for stopping by. You're just in time. I'm about to close up the stream. It's 3:30 here, which is my normal quitting time for the live stream. But so far, we're making some progress here. I think I'll go ahead and commit what I've got. Got a sample project and can add document with EF. I don't know what this PS1 file is. What happened there? I'm not checking that one in. Yep, got sample project. This is yep. So all I did a bunch of test stuff to make it compile. Maybe I should note that too. Commented out some test stuff that wasn't compiling. Definitely not a good idea to just comment out stuff. I don't know what it is and check it in, but don't really know what I'm doing here. So okay, that's fine. That's fine. I made a lot of changes to this, a lot of significant changes to that. And changes to that. Yep, I understood all those. Got rid of the partition key. This strategy factory, I don't think I need it, so I'm going to leave it commented out. This ID value generator is much simpler since I'm not putting in the discriminator. These are just tests. Okay, well, I'm going to commit it. I'm going to push this up to my GitHub. So if you're interested in checking this out, submitting a pull request, I would love it if you did anything with this project. But here it is. It's .NET-Couchbase-EF3 on mgrows and GitHub, and I just pushed something 27 seconds ago. So I think we're in good shape there. All right, well, we're off to the races. We actually got some stuff put into a database. Yeah, definitely stop by again, man. It's great to see you. I do 2 streams a week. I do Tuesday morning and Thursday afternoon, my time, trying to get a good time zone coverage. So definitely come by and check it out. We can put stuff in the database. What we got to do next is we got to figure out how to update stuff in the database, get stuff out of the database, and delete from the database. Those are the real basic CRUD operations, of course. And then we also have to worry about querying, which is probably where most of the work is going to take place in the entity framework core provider. And there's some other stuff like we have to figure out how to map objects, C# objects to one another in a document, whether
Bing, bada, boom.
nest them or so. Dewey, thank you for following. Appreciate it. Thanks for stopping by. So yeah, there's tons and tons more work to be done with this, but just trying to get something workable out there, trying to get something rolling, so we can get some Couchbase users, some Couchbase customers trying this out. Entity framework's a great sort of a connector that opens a lot of doors to other capabilities. So if you can drop in entity framework provider, then you can have Couchbase plug into a whole bunch of other stuff. So that's where we're trying to get. All right. Well, I think that's it for today. I do want to bring up the leaderboard here. You can see that Hurricane 36 Min, you're on the leaderboard now, and we've got some other people on the leaderboard now. Calvin Allen is still top. I think Brandonius was today's champion. If these are dated, I could probably figure out who the top chatter is on a day-to-day basis. But anyway, I'm going to shut down the Twitch bot here in a second. But thank you everybody for checking out the stream. And I actually will not be streaming next week because I will be in Barcelona, Spain. So I won't be able to stream from there. So look for me the week after that. I should be back for at least 1 week. So that's it for today. Thanks very much, everybody. Have a good one.